Welcome to this series of professional development videos that focus on online teaching and learning. This series is for all teachers. This series is specifically focused on developing teaching and learning online for student-to-student engagement. You may see this symbol up the top corner and throughout the series to remind you of that focus. The image was designed so that the overlapping free-form shapes emphasize human individuality and connection and are inspired by the visual learning tool of a Venn diagram. This series, Series 4, is part of a bigger series that started prior to the first lockdown in Queensland in 2020. My colleague, Dr. Denise Cox, and I created 36 videos called the Rapid Response Series to help teachers teach remotely. Series 1 focused on ideas and practices, while Series 2 we went into schools and showcased what teachers were doing remotely. In Series 3, I created another set of videos that present some of the research and experiences of remote teaching and how schools are moving forward. But in this series, Series 4, we are focusing on the key to teaching online, which is engineering student-to-student engagement. These videos will be made available on the Griffith Education YouTube playlist. That is a QR code link at the end of each video and also URLs. These videos will also be made available by the Department of Education. Now, in some way, shape or form, since the pandemic, we began teaching remotely. Part or through all of these lockdown periods, you may have taught some component fully online. With some states still in lockdown and with other states taking on the opportunity of online learning now that they're back in the classroom, there's a pedagogical focus on understanding online teaching and learning. We know that the key to unlocking the potential of online learning is enabling students to connect to each other online in critical dialogue for co-constructive knowledge processes. To me, it's like the golden goose. We know that there is a disconnect between how to use digital tools for online delivery and how students use digital tools for engagement practices. This video series is focused on building online digital teaching capabilities, specifically focused on that student-to-student engagement. It has been identified that in the field of online learning, there is a need to shift away from transmission models of teaching where tasks, videos or quizzes are sent to students to complete. Instead, pedagogies that focus on that active student engagement that complement the content delivery, where students are enabled to take greater control with flexibility, working with their peers, is considered more beneficial. Even though schools have been using learning management systems to extend learning activities beyond the classroom for some time, the pandemic remote schooling period highlighted the opportunity to focus on building teachers' capability to teach online. 3 factors were actually driving this concern. Firstly, for many classroom teachers, their university pre-service training had not prepared them for online delivery. Secondly, online learning is different to university coursework or even distance education, and as such is uncommon in the mainstream schooling contexts. And thirdly, teaching digitally is more than simply knowing how to use technology or transferring material to the online platform. It requires different pedagogies and new ways of engaging and communicating with students. Importantly, researchers contend that teaching digitally is not instinctive for many educators. What we are seeing in the schooling context is a move from remote teaching using knowledges and understandings from distance education and classroom pedagogies to develop these new modes of learning termed hybrid and blended, and we'll explore these further in this video series. While we can replicate classroom experiences online, there's also the opportunity to rethink teaching and learning approaches when students are engaged in these online spaces. They're either asynchronous or synchronous. One way you can do this is to explore digital tools and platforms and think about what you can do in these spaces that can't be done in the classroom. What do they advantage learning and add to the classroom experience that helps the student engage more deeply in their thinking? What we want to do is advantage some of the core principles of online learning, such as student agency and student collaboration, and we will explore that in this series. So in this series, there are three sets of 5 videos in each: the why, the what, and the how. The focus of the first set is to support your pedagogical reasoning. So we've called it the why. The 5 videos in this section explore ideas and approaches for you to think about why we need to teach online. These ideas might shift or trigger some new ideas or approaches, or they might challenge and disrupt some of the ways you currently teach in the classroom. The next set of 5 videos present the what, the model that we drew together from a systematic literature review. This model represents principles to guide online student-to-student engagement. And the last set, the last 5 videos, that student-to-student engagement model is applied to 5 Australian curriculum examples. The guiding principles are illustrated so that you can see how to enable student-to-student engagement online. So just to finish this video, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about myself. I was a classroom teacher, an education advisor with the Department of Education, doing a master's in EdTech at the same time as we were leading that minimum standards for teachers, for those of you who remember that. I've worked with colleagues from the Learning Place, Distance Ed, primary and secondary schools over the last 30 years. I did my doctoral studies examining models of professional development that transform teaching and learning with technology. But I feel really fortunate to be part of shaping how teachers teach and students learn with technology. It's been a passion of mine. I hope you enjoy Series 4, focused on student-to-student online engagement. I always put references at the end of the PowerPoint so that you can follow up on any of the ideas presented. And here's the URL and the QR code for all the videos in these Series 1, 2, 3, and now 4. Thank you.